gentlemen, coming to you all the way from across the pond in the fine country, from the fine country of Greece, from one of my favorite pedal manufacturers, Crazy Tube Circuits. It is the Hi Power. Now this pedal, you heard on all the guitar parts, of course, on the track at the beginning of the video. It's meant to capture the classic tones of the awesome Hiwatt tube amplifiers. Both the 50 and the 100 watt amplifier are represented in this pedal. You can actually flip this little switch here and get tones of the 103 or 504 style circuits, 50 or 100 watt. So this side of the pedal here, this is all the amp stuff. You get a full 4-band EQ that's supposed to mimic the EQ of the actual amplifiers, bass, middle, treble, presence. It's a Baxandall style EQ like the originals, and it seems to actually quite accurately mimic the EQ of the amps. How did I know that? Because David Friedman was nice enough to lend me his Hiwatt PA head that has been custom built into a DR103 by Steve Fryatt using all the original parts and transformers and everything. These PA heads could be converted into Hiwatt guitar heads, essentially. So I can directly compare the Hiwatt DR103 with the pedal running through my PT100's clean channel, which is basically a blackface Fender style clean circuit. So you can hear essentially pedal running into Fender clean versus Hiwatt DR103. So thanks, Dave, for lending me the amp for the video. Now you also get master and volume controls there, just like on the original amp, and the master mimics the actual master on the amp, the way it was implemented. So in other words, you can turn up the volume control and get gain and distortion and more gain and preamp drive the more you turn it up, but turn up that master and you also actually drive the power, like virtual power amp, harder, and it gets gainier and crunchier the more that you turn that up. So it's all about a very interactive kind of combination of the volume and master controls to set your level of volume as well as your level of drive, just like on an original amp. Now you get a 3-way toggle here, so you can select either the bright channel of the Hiwatt amp, the normal channel, or you can actually link them both together. So it's nice options there for fuller, cleaner sounds, or single coil pickups on the normal setting or the bright setting for humbuckers. Maybe if you want to get a little more gain, a little more drive, retain some tightness, you can use just the bright input setting, or you can link them for the sort of fullest, broadest tones. That's the way I use the pedal in most of the video, kind of with them linked, but I'm going to show you the individual modes as well. Now, that's not all that this pedal does. On the other side of the pedal, there's actually a Colorsound style overdrive circuit. So Colorsound Overdrive, one of the original overdrive pedals, it could actually be pretty fuzzy when you got the gain up into the high regions on it. But down low, it was like an overdrive, and it was kind of like one of the most primitive, early, but really cool sounding drives out there in a time where there was really only like maybe the fuzz face and the tone bender, fuzz style gain pedals. The Colorsound Overdriver sort of stood alone. But once again, crank it up and it almost sounds like a fuzz. So that's implemented here, and you kind of heard that in some of the tones in the song at the beginning of the video. Some of them are more like drive sounds, lower gain overdrive, and then the higher gain stuff was all getting a little more like fuzz-like quality, basically. So you get a master volume control here as well as a volume control, and once again these are interactive for the amount of volume it got and kind of drive coming out of the drive section of the pedal, as well as gain and distortion. And then you get a 2-band EQ, treble and bass. 2-way switch here to select either an 18 volt or 9 volt mode as well. The 18 volt has more headroom, it's a little more bold. 9 volt mode a little squishier, softer around the edges, and more of a fuzz-like quality. Okay, last but not least, you can plug this pedal in as I did for the whole video, just using an input and an output. But the pedal also has an effects loop integrated, so that, you imagine like patching in delay or reverb or something like that in between an amplifier and a drive pedal. Well, you can actually do that on this pedal using the effect loop. Or if you've got a switcher, something like a Musicom Lab or RJM, and you want to integrate this onto a pedal board, you can actually use the effects loop to patch both the sections in separately. So you can basically use this like two pedals. Alright, so I'm going to solo some of those parts from the song at the beginning of the video outside of the mix. I'm also going to play some more through the pedal, turn some knobs, and I want to show you this fun comparison between the real Hiwatt amplifier and then just the amp side of the pedal pushing the clean channel, the Fendery clean on my PT100. Should give you an idea of what the pedal sounds like replicating a Hiwatt style tone into a Fender style clean channel versus the real Hiwatt amplifier in a direct AB that's basically volume matched. Okay, here we go. So I was just cutting some rhythm guitar parts with my telly here, just the first parts I'm cutting in this tune. I was on the neck pickup doing this kind of... Okay, so this is just the amp part, and I'm using, let me see, the 103, so the higher headroom, sort of 100 watt sound. And because I have an actual, you know, basically DR103 over here, I've tried to match the sound on the amp as close as I could to the pedal running through the clean channel on my PT100. Okay, so if I turn off the pedal, here's the clean sound I'm running through. Just a really kind of neutral. Right? Neutral clean. Okay, now if I go over to the actual DR amp, let's listen to that. Here's the Hiwatt. On the bridge pickup. Okay, so let me go back to the PT100 and I'll add the pedal now. Back to the Hiwatt. Back to my amp with the pedal. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty darn close. I feel like I tried to match the volumes as close as I could get and match up the controls as much as I could to sound, you know, like the actual Hiwatt amp. So this is in the jumpered mode. So if I flip this little switch here, you can hear the difference between the bright channel, the normal channel, and then when they're jumpered and it's the most full and powerful in the middle. And so that's what I'm doing also on that amp over there. I've got the channels both in, that amp's got a mod on it, so if you just plug into the bright channel input, it's both jumpered and they're both working. So it's really cool because I can kind of simulate the same thing on the pedal as I can on the amp. Yeah, I was able to get like pretty close to the sound, I think. Right now I think I'm hearing just a little bit more bass in my sound that I've got going here, so I can back that down a little bit on the pedal. If anything, the sound of the pedal right now sounds a little fuller to me. So I might need to tweak the amp a little bit more to get them close. But anyway, it's certainly ballpark. And this, you know, running through a Fender style clean at least, which is what's on my PT100, can get really close to the Hiwatt style grind and tone. So I would say if you got like a Fender style clean channel and you want some of that Hiwatt character coming out of it, this sounds really good. Okay, I'm going to play some more parts in the song now, using both just the amp side of the pedal and the amp combined with the Colorsound Overdrive circuit. Okay, so I just cut the first melody part in the song at the beginning of the video, and for this, I'm stacking the drive side into the ampy side of the pedal, basically. And there's two different voltage modes on the drive side here. You can basically run it in a low voltage mode, 9 volts, that sounds a little more squishy, a little more fuzz-like, or you can run it in a more high voltage mode that has, as you would expect, maybe a little bit more headroom, a little less squish. And so I'll show you what it sounds like when I stack, first of all, here, the amp style and with the other style, the drive style, the Colorsound. So you can hear the real vintage, you know, squish to it. It's like a fuzz, basically, in this 9 volt mode. If I go to the 18 volt mode, right away when I go to the 9 volt mode, you can hear it squish out and kind of collapse. And I chose to use that mode on the neck pickup for a real vintage, you know. Just like a Colorsound Overdrive in front of a Hiwatt. Now I've got the bass on the drive quite low to keep it tight, and I got the treble on about just 1230. Let's change up the tone controls a little bit. Well, that actually sounds girthy and kind of cool when I turn up the bass. It's kind of neat. It's totally blowing up, but it's fun and cool. So that's with the bass, like, on 10. A little crazy. And then you got the two sides here with the volume and the master. Let me just play with those for a minute. Okay, so even in 9 volt mode, if I crank the master way up, but I turn the volume down, I'm getting a more headroom. So this is where all the grind is coming from, I think, from the volume. Makes sense. Kind of like the gain, really, on a distortion box. Yeah. That's where all the grind is coming from this volume control. So let's turn the master back and bring the volume way up and see what that sounds like. Super fuzzed out at that point. So I kind of like them both somewhere around, I don't know, within a number or two of like noon. Thanks you guys for watching my video on the Hi Power from Crazy Tube Circuits. Really great sounding pedal that emulates classic cranked up British Hiwatt amplifier tones from On the Overdrive side, you got Colorsound Overdriver there. That driving into the Hiwatt is a classic sound, and it just makes for some really awesome, inspirational guitar tones. You can check out the pedal, the link down there in the video description below. Click there, it'll take you to more info about the Hi Power from Crazy Tube Circuits. Thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. I am Pete Thorne. Take care. Over now.